Hi guys, happy Sunday. Welcome to the Avoiding Broke podcast. I really hope you're well. I hope you've had a truly wonderful week and thank you for joining me on this lovely Sunday. So I wanted to share a few things with you today. Been thinking a lot about the way that we make financial decisions and what it can mean for in the long term, and actually share with you some of the mistakes that I've made, that Jamain and I have made together, just to try to put into kind of real life how we're thinking about these things. And one of the things that we found really useful recently is to start thinking about, when we are making a financial decision, and that it could be anything. It could be whether you buy something, whether you change your mortgage product, whether you get a mortgage in the first place, whether you take a credit card, you take a loan, all of these different things. These are all different financial decisions. But if you think about those decisions and think not just about how it will impact you now, but also try and think about, how will this impact me in 30 years time? How is this going to impact my life in 30 years time? Because for a lot of us, we have a lot of our lives left to live. I'm 38 and I'm thinking to myself, right, I've hopefully got a good number of years, at least more than that, left of my life to live. So I want to start making decisions now that are actually not going to negatively impact me in the future. And obviously we don't know. We don't have crystal balls, we don't know what's going to happen and things like that, but we can think about kind of how things may impact us in 30 years time. And it's really funny actually, because Jamain and I, we've been talking about this for quite a while, and we've been making decisions based on that, and thinking it's kind of a real change for us thinking like that, because we're very used to looking at kind of the now. How is this going to help us now? And that's the kind of things that you do when you book a lovely holiday, or you get a new mobile phone or a nice new pair of trainers or something like that. You're thinking, this is going to be great now. But actually, when we think about it, that holiday that we booked and that we take now and that we spend all of that money on, actually there's an opportunity cost to that money. And what I mean by opportunity cost is, if you don't spend it on that holiday, you can do something else with it. So for example, say you had credit card debt and you wanted to go on holiday, and you have your pot of money, what you're then thinking about is, do I use that pot of money to go on holiday, or do I use it to pay off my credit card? One of those is going to have kind of potentially more of a long-term positive impact on you. So, and we tend to think of that as like, if you pay off your credit card debt, then that can have like a much better long-term impact than having a holiday now. That's not to say never go on holiday, but it's just thinking about what your options are at that particular time. And one of the things that I would think about is, if I had credit card debt, or with credit card debt, I would think to myself, right, if I paid that off now, or pay a chunk of it off, then you could be paying less interest. You could improve your credit report, which means that if you need to take credit in the future, or to do anything else like take a mortgage or anything like that, that's gonna positively impact you. Whereas if you go on holiday, yes, you'll have a wonderful experience, and experiences are important. So I'm definitely not saying don't have experiences and don't go on holiday, but I'm just thinking about, in the next 30 years. And sometimes, we all have periods in our life where we need to think to ourselves, right, and this is kind of where we are now, and Jamain and I have been talking about this a lot, is, we need to set ourselves up. And if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? Because if we keep putting it off, kind of setting ourselves up for the future, then we'll be making really big mistakes. And we've done that so many times in the past. We've prioritised short-term things, getting new mobile phones and going on holiday particularly, as things that we would prioritise now, but it doesn't help us in the future. And at some point, particularly now that we have a family, we're thinking, right, we really need to set ourselves up for the future. At some point, we're going to want to retire. We're going to still want to be able to live our lives. Who knows by the time that we retire where state pensions and things like that are going to be. So we thought to ourselves, we really need to like wake up now and sort ourselves out, and stop thinking about kind of instant gratification of holidays and new things, new TVs, new material things, and think more about our next 30 years. And do you know what, I say that, but we still make mistakes now. It's not, we still do make mistakes now, so we definitely haven't got it down. So I'm just sharing this with you in the case that it helps you, and it's definitely not me saying you should definitely do this, and you know, this is definitely what we're doing. We're trying, but we still make mistakes, speaking completely honestly with you all. So we were currently thinking, and this was only very recently, oh, you know, maybe we could go on holiday. We now have 2 children. Our little boy Joshua is now 8 weeks old, and we had said to ourselves, right, we're not going to travel this year. We're going to focus on you know, making financial decisions that are going to benefit us in the next 30 years in terms of savings, investing, and paying down any debt. So that's what we were focusing on. And then all of a sudden we thought to ourselves, oh, maybe we could go on holiday this year. Maybe we could do that, go abroad. So we're not saying we're not going to go on holiday, but we're thinking we're not going to do like a big long haul, really expensive trip. So we were thinking, oh, maybe we could do something. Maybe there's a way that we can, you know, use hotel points and or airline miles, or is there any way that we can, you know, get some value out of other things to try and have that long haul holiday. We said to ourselves, you know, I'm on maternity leave for a year. There's kind of a good time to do these things, especially when Joshua's so young, and you know, you don't pay as much for him as you would when he turns 2. And we were thinking about that, and not once did we step back and think, oh, but how does this fit with kind of our strategy that we've literally just set out for ourselves for this year of planning for the future and making that financial strategy that we've set out? How does this fit with that? And it was only this morning actually that Jamain woke up and was like, actually, we need to be challenging each other more. And that's one of the things that I think that we can take from this is, you know, if you have a partner, then speak to them and say, you know, when we're looking to do these things, can we challenge each other and just look at the other side? Even if ultimately we still end up doing what we had originally set out to do, can we at least look at the other side, make sure we're fully comfortable with that? And what I mean by look at the other side is that example that I gave you in the beginning, where you've got a choice. You can pay off your credit card debt, or you can book a holiday. And just if you decide to book a holiday, then just having somebody there just to challenge you and say, okay, well, let's just think about this. What does that mean? What does that mean for the credit card debt? How are we going to service that? What does it mean for us in the future? If we can do that for each other, then I think that is going to be incredibly powerful. And if you don't have somebody that you can do that with, then maybe try and do it for yourself. I know that's a lot harder to do because you're not always thinking about it. When you think that you've got the best plan, then sometimes it's hard to challenge yourself because you think, well, why would I bother? I've got the best plan. But I would encourage you to think, okay, what's the other side of this? What else could I do with this? If I were going to challenge somebody else, how would I do that? And ultimately then you're making financial decisions by giving it just that bit of extra thoughts. And it may be the case that, you know, you take a step back. That's one of the other things that we've really spoken about, Jamain and I, is thinking to ourselves, okay, before we make any big decision, let's not rush into it. Let's take a step back. Let's sit on it for a while. Let's sleep on it for a few days, and then see if we still think it's a good idea. And that's not revolutionary. That's not groundbreaking. And hopefully you'll see that kind of none of the stuff that I'm saying here is actually groundbreaking, but sometimes we just need a little bit of a reminder of it. So, you know, step back and think about it, and just also realize that we all make mistakes. We all kind of don't make the optimal decision. We're not computers, we're not calculators. We don't always make the kind of the optimal decision based on all of these different calculations. We're human beings with feelings and emotions and wants and needs, and you know, we put value on other things as well, like experiences and time away and your rest and your mental health and things like that. So I guess all of that I'm trying to say is kind of see if there's a different way to think about things when we're making financial decisions. And one of the ways that we can do that is thinking about what the longer term impact will be of our financial decisions. And if you can kind of put a time on it, like we have, where we're thinking, oh, you know, what does this mean for our next 30 years? Because we're thinking, you know, that may take us, into near retirement, hopefully, then that can help, and it can give you that kind of motivation, especially if you're really clear on what you want those next 30 years of your life to look like. And sometimes it's helpful just to think about that, how much longer you could have in your life. Obviously none of us know, we never know, but even just thinking about what you could have and what kind of average life expectancies are and things like that, and when you want to look to retire, it can really help when you're there maybe wanting to buy a new pair of trainers or a new mobile phone and thinking, so I really need this, I've got 30 years of my life where I can do wonderful things, so I need to do that right now. Because you also have to, one of the other things, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is, like I said earlier, Jamain and I have decided, like now we need to kind of get serious and think about the next 30 years and kind of planning and really putting in place things to make our later years more comfortable than they would be if we didn't put something in place. And the reason why we're doing that now is that we feel like we're able to. We're both working. Yes, I'm on maternity leave, but I will go back to work. We're working, we are healthy, we're relatively fit, we're kind of young enough to do these things. We don't want to start doing these things when we're older, maybe in poorer health, because who knows what's going to happen around the corner, and when we maybe have less kind of financial power because maybe one of us has gone part-time or something like that. You never know what's around the corner. So that's another thing to think about, is when is the, I'm not going to say best, but when is a good time to start doing these things, is when you feel like you're able to. And if that's now, then I wish you the best of luck in doing that now. And I really hope that you found this useful. Kind of a bit of a different podcast with me. I'm more sharing kind of mistakes that we're making and how we're thinking and how we're kind of still trying to learn and grow, and how we need to keep challenging each other, Jamain and I, just in the hope that you find it useful, and that it may help you. So guys, I'll leave it there, and I really hope you have a truly wonderful week. We'll speak to you again next week. I hope you're in really good health, and you guys take care. Okay, bye.